Over the last couple of years, the Carhartt Detroit Jacket, the grill jacket for many, has boomed in both popularity and price. This naturally floods the market with replicas trying to steal your hard-earned cash by tempting you with lower prices. And with replicas becoming more and more convincing, the online marketplace is a wasteland that can lead to costly mistakes. That's why in this video, I'll be going over my easiest, most bulletproof tips on how to identify real jackets online. I'll be going over more advanced techniques that took me hours of research and experience to get right, but I've condensed them down into really easy, simple, bite-sized information where anyone can follow. So stay tuned to the very end. So before we actually jump into the main section of the video, I want to clarify that this guide is laser focused on the J01, J001 and J97 models of the Detroit Jacket because this is what typically the replicas try to imitate. The J97 is what people would typically call their grill jacket. It comes in a myriad of colors and it has the contrasting color features all around the jacket. The J01 and J001 are basically twins, they just have different sizing offerings. And it's what you would typically associate with a Carhartt Detroit jacket. And it's it's the closest to what Cooper wore in Interstellar, which made it so popular. I know there are other Detroit models, but I will be focusing on these three throughout the video. And one last thing, before we start, there's two pictures of Carhartt Detroit jackets on the screen right now. Can you guess which one is the real one? The answer will be at the end of the video. Right, so let's start off with the easiest identifier, and that's the care label. This is where I began when I was first looking for my first legit Detroit jacket. And the reason why it's the easiest is because fakes have so many mistakes that it's easy to spot. Tip number one is super straightforward. The care label should either be white or a bit yellowy. It cannot be any other color like a black or a dark gray or a red or a green. It should be white or yellowy, and it's usually printed on like a polyester sort of material, and if it is like a polyester sort of material, it should be white. If it's on more of a papery material, that's when it can become a bit more yellow because it does yellow over time. So if it's any other color than white or a bit yellow, then you're looking at a fake. Tip number two is again very straightforward. Look at the very top of the care label and you should see an RN number. Carhartt's RN number is 14806. This is the number provided to them by the FTC for all Carhartt manufactured goods so that it can be identified as Carhartt. If the number is off by a single digit, don't look at it any longer, you're looking at a fake. Tip number three is to become an English teacher and check for grammatical mistakes on the care label because fake labels have so many things wrong with them, such as misspelling, random capitalization, and missing spacing. They can't even spell Carhartt correctly sometimes, and that's the thing they're trying to imitate. Tip number four can get a bit confusing, but I want to keep this short, sweet, and simple. Carhartt over the years have changed their care label, and on the care label, it has changed certain pieces of information depending on the information of their products. That's a given. Now, we're looking at the J01, J001, and J97 versions of the Detroit jacket, and those are the model names of the jacket, and therefore if you're looking for that model, it should say on the care label. Now, the newer versions of the care label will have a 6-digit number that will indicate the model of the jacket. And if you see a 6-digit number describing the jacket, you're looking at the newer Carhartt line of products, and that's not what we're looking for. If you're finding this video interesting and helpful, please leave a like and comment down below because it does help the channel to grow. And now let's move away from care labels and focus more on the construction and detailing of the jacket. Tip number five is super straightforward. Look at the sleeves of the jacket. A legit Carhartt jacket will have a curved stitch, tapered hems, and 2 snaps for sleeve cinching for better mobility and fitting. If the jacket is missing any of these 3 features on the sleeve, then it is a fake because fakes tend to have a straight stitch and a straight hem on their sleeves. Tip number 6 is super straightforward. Look at the back and there should be 2 adjustable snaps on the hem of the jacket on either side. This is a feature that I missed when I bought my only fake, but I was lucky enough to get a refund, so don't make the same mistake. Now, fakes can have these adjustable snaps, but what I realized is that on the fakes, they're positioned incorrectly and you can see them from the front. So if you can see these snaps from the front, then it's most likely a fake. For tip number 7, we'll be focusing on the stitching, which has many elements to it, so I'll try and keep it short and concise. Carhartt uses triple stitching for their main seams, which they call their Carhartt strong stitching, and this basically maximizes durability and construction of the jacket. Now, these stitches are strong, tight, and they look high quality, so if you're looking at a jacket where these stitchings are either missing or a bit loose, then you should be questioning the legitimacy of that jacket. Another thing about Carhartt jackets is that at the back there's 2 supporting stitchings on either side just below the armpit area. If a jacket's missing these stitches, then it's most likely a fake. It's little details like this that fakes miss that help us as buyers to ensure that we're buying the real thing. Before we move away from stitches, I want to give you a final tip. The jacket should not have a stitch all the way down the middle of the back of the jacket. No real Detroit jacket has this stitch. So if it's there, it's a fake. Okay, so cool, the middle stitch isn't supposed to be there, then what is supposed to be there? And this is tip number 8. Look for the bi-swing pleat, otherwise known as the action pleat, and these help with mobility when wearing a jacket. And this is one of the features of the J01, J001 and J97 models of the Detroit jacket and other Detroit jackets actually. Now do keep in mind that if these pleats aren't there, it doesn't necessarily mean that the jacket is fake, because some Detroit models such as the mainline WIP Detroit jackets don't have these pleats. For tip number 9, we'll be looking at the zips. And now every single Detroit jacket zip has a wind flap on it. The wind flap for the middle and the plaquette for the chest zipper. They never show the teeth of their jackets. A lot of fakes show their teeth, and that's a clear indicator that it's a fake. But there are some fakes that do have this plaquette or wind flap, and it just looks a bit weird and ugly, so that's another indicator as well. We'll now be moving on to the harder, more advanced tips, but once you get the hang of them, they're incredibly useful. So for our first advanced tip, which is tip number 10, we'll be talking about the material of which all Carhartt Detroit jackets should be made out of, and that is 100% heavy duty cotton canvas. Once you know how to identify this material, you will find it so easy to figure out if a jacket is fake or not. The material should be a bit dry, a bit rough, and the texture should be very similar to that of a Converse shoe because both are made out of canvas. Fakes usually use a cotton blend with plastic, which makes the material a lot thinner, a lot more smooth and shiny. So if you see any 3 of these features on a jacket, then just know that it is probably a fake. Once you get the hang of this method, you'll be able to identify a fake at a glance. For tip number 11, it's going to be a bit harder because you need experience and familiarity with the models. But don't worry, I've already done all the hard work and heavy lifting, so this will be super easy for you. I will provide you with the referencing material. Carhartt designs specific lining designs per Carhartt jacket. For example, the J01 and J001, which are basically the same jacket, will have a specific lining or blanket lining design specific for that jacket, whereas the J97 will have a specific blanket lining design for it. If there's any mismatch of blanket lining and Carhartt jacket model, then you know that there's an issue and you should be very cautious. So for our final tip, we're going to be rolling back and focusing on arguably the most identifying feature of a Carhartt jacket, and that is the Carhartt patch. The J01 and J001 share a fabric patch, whereas the J97 has a leatherette patch. It's extremely difficult to rely on the fabric patch to identify a fake because they're widely and cheaply available, but it doesn't mean that they can't be helpful. For example, if you're looking at a jacket that has the distinguishing features of a J97 but it has a fabric patch, then you should start asking yourself, is the jacket I'm looking at a fake, or did the previous owner replace their worn out leatherette patch with a fabric patch? As for the leatherette patches, it ranges from really well done to obviously fake, and with enough experience you'll be able to tell the difference. The easiest leatherette fake to identify is this one here. It's a lot bigger than the original, it's a lot smoother, the color's a bit weird, and it's almost perfectly square. Whereas a real leatherette patch is a lot smaller, it's a bit more rectangular, there's texture on it, and it's slightly imperfect. And a final note on the leatherette patches, over time they do degrade and peel off, so you're left with this fabric patch, but this is still a real patch. So these are all the methods and techniques that I use to make sure that I'm buying a real Carhartt Detroit jacket online, and I've only ever bought one fake one by accident, and I've bought so many Carhartt Detroit jackets, more than I ever need. So make sure that you're checking through everything when you're making a purchase online, since they're not cheap. So if this video has helped you buy the real thing, please tell me about your journey in the comment section below. I want to know who I've helped and if this video has helped anyone out there. I've made multiple videos on this topic, but I've decided to make one long form video so that everything's in one place. So yeah, if it has helped you, please let me know. And I'm trying to hit 2K subs by the end of the year, so if you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate your subscription. And yeah, I hope you found this video interesting and helpful, and as always, I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Peace.